What do you genuinely just not understand? People who play music loudly. Like, are you doing it just to flex your music taste on strangers? Edit. I mean people who do it in public, like in the public transport and like ridiculously loud. I don't see any problem if you do it in your home or if it's a concert. How images are made on a screen, or how photos are taken. I've had it explained to me in detail. My brain just doesn't get it. Edit. I know what pixels are. It's the ones and zeros turning into pixels that is confusing. Alright, so analog photos are actually super easy to understand. You've basically got a piece of transparent film that's completely littered with lots and lots of tiny little magical balls. Every one of these magical balls turns dark when light shines on them, and the more light they get, the darker they become. In the camera, this film is hidden from the outside world, keeping the little magical balls all clear and transparent, until it's time to take a picture. When you press the shutter, the camera opens a door in front of the film, and light travels from the outside world, through the lens, which bends the rays of light into an image, and onto the film, and the magical balls. Basically, you now have a perfect projection of the outside world inside of the camera, exactly where the little magic balls are. Now, the magical balls where a lot of light hits turn very dark, while magical balls where no light hits remain transparent. After a split second, the door closes, and the roll of film advances one frame to allow for the next picture to be taken. Now when you're done with taking your photos and you're taking the film to be developed, they throw the transparent film, with the darkened magical balls, into a vat of chemicals, which takes the magic out of the balls. The balls will now forever stay whichever darkness they have. No amount of extra light will make them darker. You now have an inverted image on your film, with dark parts where a lot of light hit, and transparent parts where there was nothing. Then further magic turns that inverted image into a proper image. Computers can do this really easily. Now, for digital cameras, the exact same thing applies. Except instead of magical balls that get dark when light hits them, you have a grid of magical light sensors that emit a voltage depending on how much light hits it. These voltage levels are then read by a computer inside the camera and stored as grid. This grid of voltage levels is what in digital images. It's JPGs and PNGs and stuff like that. A digital monitor then is just like a digital camera sensor, except in reverse. Instead of a grid of magical sensors, it's a grid of lamps. So for each lamp, pixel, on your monitor, it checks the corresponding voltage value in the saved image grid, and then emits that much light. Do this enough time, with a big enough grid, and you've displayed a picture. I have no idea how to approach someone and tell them I'm interested in getting to know them better. Ask them out on a date essentially. I've found the key to this is practice, and the easiest way to practice is to broaden your dataset. Don't try to strike up conversations with just people you find attractive on the train. I try to have a conversation with literally every person I have a one-time interaction with, and the key is shared observations. Talk to the cashier about your purchases. Make a joke. Talk to the person sitting next to you at the haircut place. Point out the kid getting a lollipop. Do you think we get one of those after we're done? Just look at your surroundings. Find something that you can point out to the stranger that they can also observe, and boom, you can strike up a conversation with ease. After enough practice, and if you're not a creep, you can do it with the cute person on the train. Shared observations really set people at ease. Oh, this person is doing the legwork for me. They came up with something to talk about and all I have to do is respond. You make it easy for them to talk. The second key to this is not to have expectations surrounding these conversations. Sometimes the gas station attendant is having a bad day and isn't going to get a kick out of you talking about why you're buying 6 energy drinks. The cute person on the train might be taken or just not interested. Plus they're probably used or tired of being hit on by randos. So don't expect anyone to be receptive to your shared observations. No one is required to give you the time of day, and if you respect that, people appreciate it. I've done this for years and it stuns my introverted friends. They think I'm an extrovert because of it, but it's just practice. Final semi-related thought. I had a friend in high school approach me after I finished a conversation with this girl he had a major crush on. How do you talk to girls like that? And I was like, it's easy once you remember that they're people too. Good luck. Make friends everywhere you go. How to like being around people again. I used to have lots of friends as a kid, but I spent a lot of time by myself in high school and I find I like being by myself most days now. But even I get lonely, but I don't really know how to reach out to people anymore. How vast the universe is. How empty the universe is. Let's start with the atom. If the nucleus was the size of the sun, then the electron would be twice as far out as Pluto. Now imagine how much space is actually between each part of the atom. What are you actually looking at when you look at your phone? There is hardly anything there. Now let's scale it up. I'm gonna challenge you to count every rock between here and the moon. Heck, let's say between here and the sun. How few atoms there actually are is insane. Now our solar system isn't the only one in the galaxy. There are millions plus. But when Andromeda, the nearest galaxy, clashes with the Milky Way, it is almost certain that not a single object will collide. Do you know why that is? That is because the second closest star to us is almost 4.5 light years away. That is for 1013 km. That is 40,000,000,000,000,000,000 000 meters away. Now for how vast the universe is. Warning mobile users. Only download on Wi-Fi. That image is a single 32 millionth of the sky. Imagine seeing that all around us. A single one of those lights is not a star but a galaxy somewhere in the distance. People who can ask for proof of something, get it, have it logically explained, and they still refuse to even consider that they might be wrong. It's a really annoying crutch that a huge amount of people use as a tool when debating. Read. Being a tool, they just bog down conversations by asking for proof for things in bad faith. And if the other person rightly isn't interested in investing that much in a conversation with someone being rude and condescending, the first person decides they have won because the other can't back up their claims. Even if they do go to the trouble of providing proof, they will just ignore it anyway or call it BS. There's no winning. Scenario 1. A. Oh yeah, can you logically prove the earth isn't flat? B. Dude, I don't have the time or energy to have this conversation with you. A. Aha, so you're saying you can't prove it. Scenario 2. A. Oh yeah, can you logically prove the earth isn't flat? B. Provides proof. A. LOL. You actually believe that foolishness that the government feeds you? You see it all the time in political arguments because it's really easy to make it seem to yourself that you won, when the actual aim isn't to win at all, but to have a discussion and come to an understanding or help provide another perspective. But I assumed you meant people more like flat earthers or anti-vaxxers. How data flies through the air and lands on the device that it's intended for. For example, you're on your cell phone right next to another person on their cell phone, and you're both getting the data you're expecting. Seems like this stuff would be hitting us in the head. Electromagnetic radiation. A transmitter and antenna take electrical impulses, the website you typed in the address for, or next Insta, etc., and combine them with a radio frequency carrier wave to form encoded electromagnetic EM waves. The encoded wave has data on it, and you have a frequency assigned to your phone for data. More than one, but I'm simplifying here. That channel is assigned to your phone, and another channel assigned to the person next to you. All that is done on the fly by the system. Once it hits the antenna in your phone, the encoding data is stripped from the carrier wave and turned into a web page or image on your phone. It does technically hit your head, or anywhere else on your body, but the EM radiation doesn't have the energy level and intensity to do any damage to your body, and, depending on the frequency, passes through you, and an average building wall, etc. because at that frequency, the objects it is passing through are as transparent as visible light is to glass. This is why you can get a signal from your Wi-Fi router at 2.4 GHz from farther away than your 5 GHz. The 5 GHz signal loses power by passing through walls and air. The caveat to not being damaged by cell phone or Wi-Fi radiation would be, if you climbed a cell tower, you are much closer to the higher power source. The average cell tower puts out about 10 watts of power per channel, and most providers have 800 plus channels. That's a lot of energy at pretty high intensity, which is one of the reasons cell towers are up high. By the time it reaches the ground, the power received is low enough not to cause damage to people. TL. DR Physics. Edit. My first gold. Thank you. Second edit to add, channels are one of two ways we all share a cell tower. If there's 800 channels, radio frequency assignments, but 1600 users, then not everyone gets their own channel. We use time sharing on each channel so every user can get access. This is why it slows down when you get a mass of people in one spot and overwhelm the towers. There's a lot of information theory and encryption that goes into it. I'm not going to cover it too much, but a couple people have below. Third edit. Holy crap, platinum. Thank you. I'll try to reply to everyone, but I got a little slammed with stuff in my sleep. Abusive parents. Dad told me over Christmas about one time where he was with his girlfriend in Vegas. They lived there and they regularly went and gambled. They didn't overspend. It was a good time for them. They were fairly responsible about it. Sure. So he's telling me about the numbers he uses when playing Keno. Spelling? I don't gamble, so I just know how the word is pronounced. He uses his kids' birthdays. Cool. Great. His girlfriend gets a good hit. Makes 7k. He tells her give me 1k out of it, just trust me. She gives it to him sort of begrudgingly, it felt like, from the way he told the story. He takes it, puts it in the machine next to hers on the other side. His first hit with his kids' birthdays is a massive hit. He wins 13k in one game. They cash out. She stays to gamble a little bit more. He goes home for a second to get on eBay and finds a car that he's always wanted. He spends the money he just won gambling to get the car. It arrives a few weeks later. The reason I tell this story is because when he won, my mom, myself, her boyfriend at the time, and just my siblings in general were in some tough financial spots. It's not a huge deal, we got past it just like any family does, but it just hit me that he'd been gambling and winning like that on occasion throughout the whole time he lived in Vegas. When he'd win those thousands and thousands of dollars, was he putting any of that in savings for my college, my sisters? We've lived a long time without him in our lives, and I'm not expecting the guy to realize his mistakes, but my dad is the perfect example of someone who shouldn't have kids. He's not a bad person, but he'd rather remember our birthdays to use them when he gambles instead of sending us the winnings, even just partially. Just a few extra hundred with child support, that's all. I don't hate my dad, it's just sad knowing that he never really planned for any of his kids to exist. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm only 16, so I hope you didn't cringe from the editing. I hope we can get to 50,000 subscribers because I wouldn't be here without all of you. So thank you so much for your time and energy, and please subscribe.